And we are live tonight for another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control, and it is race number 11 of 35 in our Do It For Dale Busch Series season on this game. Trying to make an early season comeback trail, or first half of the season comeback trail, as we coming into tonight's race 15th in the point standing still, following a rough finish at Talladega earlier today of 25th for Dale Jr. Didn't lead a lap of that race, started at the back, ran as high as second with about 15 laps to go, but found his way in the back of the pack and 25th after getting caught up in the big one with about 5 laps remaining in the race. Could not survive the beast that is Talladega, but another beastly track of its own right at Darlington tonight may ask for a tough task again, because just like earlier today, Dale Jr. is going to be starting from the rear with no practice and no qualifying once again. So this is going to be very tough on the track that is too tough to tame. Probably the hardest track to drive in NASCAR, and I'm sure in this game that is going to likely be the season, the reason as well. Asai Z and others, welcome into the stream today. No, the Busch and the Truck Series do not have a chase system. It's a full season points format. So Dale Jr. being 15th in points right now after the first 10 of 35 races, not great. Now, again, expressing the issues that I had earlier today, really over the last 24 hours with the channel, the reason why last night's stream got delayed to early this afternoon, and the reason that out of the spur of the moment that I could not live stream the live commentary of the race today at Sonoma. I had an issue where my phone was either lost, misplaced, stolen, whatever the case is. I did not have it. I got locked out of my Google account earlier today, which therefore meant I was locked out of YouTube. With that being said, because I was locked out of YouTube, I could not do live commentary of the race as I have been hoping for and obviously planned on doing pretty much since a couple weeks ago on the channel. I was telling you guys Sonoma was going to be the next live commentary live stream for the Cup Series, with going to last week's race at Gateway, and then the weekend before that going to the Indy 500. So I apologize for that. It was a spur of the moment thing. I really have no clue where the phone went. I had to go to Verizon today before they closed, which meant I had to leave during the start of the Cup race, and ended up getting back right around the end of stage 2, I think. But I ended up recording the race, rewatched it, and that's why we're getting off to a late start time for this stream. And I'm doing this stream because I want to make it up to you guys for not being able to do the live stream earlier today. It stinks. It stinks for all parties. It stinks for you guys that maybe weren't able to watch the race today because it was on cable, and that tune in for the live commentary races so you get some sort of coverage of the race. Again, spur of the moment thing. I had nothing I could really do. I was locked out of my account. I'm just glad that I don't have to start from scratch on YouTube, because there was looking like for a couple hour window in time there. I'm usually not a pessimist and thinking of the worst, but I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get back into this account. Are they going to be able to recover all my data from my phone that I had previously, even though I don't actually have the phone on me? Even the guy I had talked to over the phone and the guy with me there had no clue if they were going to be able to recover everything. I told them what I needed recovered, and I'm glad that I was able to recover the YouTube channel, because that would have been terrible if that would not have been the case. But we are here, and we're back. We're going to be racing tonight. Live commentary will return next week. Now the Cup Series is off next week, so we're actually going to go almost a full month then between Cup Series live streams for the live commentary. So again, I apologize for that, but next week the Truck Series is at Knoxville. That will be the next live stream. It's set for a Saturday night, so that'll work out for me with my work schedule. So Saturday night next week, Knoxville truck race. I plan on doing live commentary for the heat races as well as the main event later that night. So all day, that is going to be the case. Does the other person still have your phone and info? I don't know. I don't know if, you know, I'm assuming somebody took it yesterday. And the only reason I'm assuming that is because I know exactly where I had put it, and it wasn't there when I got off the field yesterday after our softball game after work. So I'm guessing somebody from my team either accidentally took it thinking it was theirs, or they had, you know, flat out stolen it. Whether they thought it was mine or whatever, they had stolen it. Now, the reason why I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that I don't think somebody grabbed it accidentally is because when I tried to call that number through somebody else that was on my team last night, helping me look for my phone late at night, she tried to call that number like 5-6 times, went to voicemail every time, texted it a couple times, couldn't get it. Got my parents to do the same thing, and nobody was picking up. So there is the chance that it may have gotten knocked over. Okay, but if it would have been knocked over, it would have been in the dugout still. That's what doesn't make any sense to me. Because I did not have it on me in the field at all last night. And I had it in me. We had like a 2-hour break between the second and third game I played yesterday where I was on it. And I set it right in the dugout before I went on the field to kickstart the third game. So, I don't know. I don't know where it went. I have no clue. It was dead last I know of because I was able to track it on my laptop. But when I got to the softball diamonds, it was weird. It said that it located it, but it wouldn't. There's no like GPS routing system with Motorola's that I was able to legitimately like track it all the way down. So I pretty much knew of a general area. I don't know how widespread that area is. Is it within like a 20-mile radius of where I happened to be earlier? Because it couldn't locate it last night from my house because I was probably 45 minutes away from where I ended up playing yesterday. And then when I got to where I played today, it was there. But it was only at 3% battery because I couldn't charge it overnight last night because I didn't have it. And once it died, I lost connection and literally had no clue of being able to track it after that. So, you know, that's that. That's the end of that story, really. I know you guys want to see some racing, but I figured I had to explain myself, and you guys are asking questions about it in the chat, too. So I appreciate your guys' concern, and appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. And, again, I apologize for everything that has happened with delaying streams and postponing them until later in the day and canceling streams over the last 24 hours. It's been crazy to say the least. My head has been spinning since like last night before I got home, and I've been able to calm down a little bit the last few hours. Did I end up watching the race? I did. Post-race analysis video will be on the channel tomorrow. I couldn't get the predictions out today because I got locked out of my account, so I was going to live stream that during the live stream and the live commentary like usual. And the only time I do legitimate prediction videos is if I'm not doing live commentary for the race. I wasn't doing live commentary, or I was going to do live commentary for the race, but getting locked out of my account, not only couldn't do the live commentary, couldn't do predictions either. I actually predicted Chase Elliott to win today's race, so I was wrong in that. He still got a top 10, had a good run, but I'll go through all the predictions I had because I do have a Google Docs page on it, so I can even prove to you guys statistically who I had before the race started and who I didn't. But I'll state for the record, I did pick Chase Elliott to win. He did not win, so I was waiting for him to win, and then you guys, oh, no, you didn't actually pick him. You picked him after the race because you didn't do a predictions video. No, I picked Chase Elliott to win, and he didn't end up winning anyway, but he ran well. Probably threw it. It wasn't, well, it was his fault and his team's fault. It was total miscommunication error. That'll be in the post-race analysis video. We are here to race today. I'm still in the process of trying to get the setup down. Got no practice or qualifying for Darlington today. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see what kind of a strategy call is going to be on display. And I'm just going to add a ton of downforce because I do not want to risk the car not handling right now. This is a very old Darlington surface in 2005 as well, so it is going to be quite slippery on these drivers. And it's the first race at Darlington on NASCAR 06 in general, and it's with a struggling Busch Series team. And this 81 for Dale Jr. Wade Solinsky, R6, I Like Donuts, and NASCAR Dark Crypto, Derek Booth, the Sia Z, Patrick Shadley, and others. Again, welcome to the stream. And final time, apologize for not having the live commentary earlier today due to the issues regarding the channel. But we are back and better than ever, and we're still getting a doubleheader to you guys tonight regardless. Tony Stewart will be on the pole. The green flag is in the air, and we are underway and racing under the lights at the Lady in Black. First year Darlington had lights was in 05. Dale Jr. down on the apron all the way through 1 and 2. It's going to be interesting to see how that's going to work. Bit of a stack up on the back straightaway. I don't think anybody made contact. They were just trying to keep it off of one another. A little bit of contact getting into turn 3. Jr. overly aggressive there on corner entry that time. Has to be careful. Contact in front of him as he tries to get out of harm's way. Probably going to have to try to find a way to hop in line again into the car on his outside and nearly had a spin. Being a little too aggressive early with a car that he has really no control over, or has no clue what the control is going to be of the race car. Have to probably get on the brakes a little bit earlier to turn 1 to try to help it turn. And he's right back to where he started in the last place position despite picking up 4 laps in the first lap and a half before that. Matt Kenseth, who was strong at Talladega earlier today, finished second, led the most laps, starting at the rear of this one. One car almost in the wall. Track position, kind of a racetrack again today, mainly because of how hard it is not only to drive this track, but to pass on top of it. It's going to be very, very difficult on these drivers today. McMurray having contact with the car on the outside of him. He gets shuffled out of line as they were 3 wide. Junior locking the brakes up into turn 1. That causes him to get a little loose as the car kind of automatically turned to the apron because of locking the brakes and locking those front tires. Don't want to use too much of those tires up in the early going. Likely going to be about a 2-stop race today if I had to imagine. Oh, you were there in person. Well, congrats, man. Hopefully you had a fun time. Probably the calmest race of the season. As far as action. I'd probably say more. Oh, we got a huge wreck. And turns 1 and 2, already a car around. Dale Jr. had to go down to the apron and then slow way up to keep from running into that car. There was a big hit. The 83 car was up on 2 tires at one point. And he might have had help. No, he did not. He spun on his own right in front of a couple cars who were on the outside above him and behind him. And the 117 kind of got underneath the rear of the 83. So, chance for adjustments for Dale Jr. in the early going. He'll take a large advantage of this early caution. He'll top off on fuel. He'll change tires. And they'll think about making certain adjustments to this race car. They're going to take that round of wedge out of it to try and loosen it up a little bit. Probably consider saving a set of tires with this early caution, but Dale Jr. knows there's only 4 sets. It's only a 200-mile race, so he is going to change tires right now. Seth Thomas, welcome to the stream. Daniel Suarez earned that win today. Yeah, he did. He dominated, led the most laps. Granted, there were issues, obviously, to Chase Elliott and Larson, but you know, they put themselves in that circumstance and the best team won today for sure. Combination of team and driver as far as today goes got the job done. Aiden Preston, welcome to the stream. Someone stole my phone. Again, not 100% certain on that, but I am pretty sure that something like that probably ended up happening for why I couldn't find it last night. Consider where I was at, too. Green flag back in the air. Now Dale Jr. is going to have to try to erase the first 5 laps out of his brain on how he drove this race car at Darlington. Sit at the back, try to figure something else out again. He is very loose after taking that round of wedge out of the car. He was tight on corner entry, and that's why they took the round of wedge out. Might put it back in and bump up the air pressure if it's too loose. And it's only going to get looser and looser as this run carries on. Maybe get away with touching the apron a little bit at Darlington. At least on fresher tires. And even only on about 5 lap fresher tires, that's going to make a difference for Dale Jr. Going to make one pass. Matt Kenseth making contact off turn 4 with the car underneath him, squeezing him into the outside wall. Kenseth getting a Darlington stripe out of it. Dale Jr. to the inside of Jamie McMurray. Got a little loose on corner entry, still loose all the way through the corner. Dale Jr. is struggling trying to figure out how to drive this racetrack right now. I'll practice at qualifying. The car almost turns too easy. But if you try to drive it in deeper into the corner, it keeps from getting loose, but then it gets tight. It's a very, very thin, fine line that Dale Jr. is going to have to find. And as quickly as possible, if at all possible. And he is way too loose right now. He was a little tight on corner entry before, but loose as fast if he can hold on to it. But I don't know if he's going to hold on to it much longer. As he picks up his first Darlington stripe in turns 3 and 4, over correcting the loose handling car in 3 and 4 that time. Like I said, the car just turns too easy. Junior does not need to struggle anymore in this Busch Series season. He's over 300 points out of first, 15th in the standings after 10 races. The intermediates is where he struggled, as well as the super speedways. Really, the short track's the only consistent point of speed that the 81 car has had in the Busch Series this season. On 2x2 racing towards the back of the pack again off turn 2. Tony Stewart has led every lap from the start of the race in the 33. And in traffic, the car's only going to handle a little bit worse. Billy Carjoy, welcome to the stream. I know, Billy, I'll get around to it. As I just did. Can't look at the chat every second of the stream or I'm not going to be able to hit my marks lap after lap. 20 people already watching the early going of this one. Another different winner today too. Yeah, Suarez winning. Could have 17. Another one below the cutoff line too. Hurts guys like Almirola and Harvick, even though Harvick had a great day today. Picker kind of let him down, lost him a couple spots on that last stop. Maybe he could have been someone that could have gotten up towards about second place or so. Very risky. Junior thought about taking it 3 wide, but that was only because the 119 got into the side of the 64 of Jamie McMurray. So hard trying to work the cars in front and trying to make a pass. Junior to the inside of McMurray off turn 2. Junior walking up the track a little bit. Keeps it off the 64 car, going to make a clean pass. McMurray struggling in the early going. Junior struggling just to try and drive the racetrack. Murray struggling to make passes. Really working the throttle all the way through the corner, even on corner exit. Burping the gas, just trying to keep the car from having its rear wheels spinning. And also from keeping it off the wall. This track is very, very treacherous, especially in this game, which most tracks seem to be treacherous in this game. Junior desperately looks to the inside of the 119 car. One of the fantasy drivers. Hasn't cleared him yet. Now he'll be cleared down the backstretch. Drives it off, down on the bottom lane through 3 and 4. It's going to be a tough battle uphill all day for Dale Jr. He's able to dodge that first accident on lap 5. Drove it in a bit too deep down on the bottom and got loose. The looser he gets throughout the middle of the run, he's going to chew the rear tires up more and more and more, and by the end of the run, it's not going to look pretty. It's also a very tough pit road to get onto if green flag stops will be happening at all in this race. Junior just a tad off strategy. He's probably got about 5 laps more of fuel in his car. Even Kenseth's barely made his way through the field over 20 laps in. Started just in front of Dale Jr. at the rear of the field. McMurray obviously still towards the back as well of the Cup regulars. I'll tell you what, this is treacherous right now. Just wait till 500 miles of this tomorrow in the Southern 500, which will be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night on the channel. Dodge Charger 500. A lot of traffic in front of Dale Jr. right now. It's hard to be patient in just a 200-mile race. Contact off turn 4. Jr. slides. He's in the wall. They crashed in front of him, and he had nowhere to go. They ended up stacking up quite a bit. And Junior's in the outside wall. Our second caution of the race. Stress, welcome to the stream. In fact, it didn't charge as good, yes. I was already having issues with it before with the charging of the phone, so even if somebody found it and was trying to charge it, good luck. Caution is out again. Second time in the early going of the race today. Dale Jr. cannot pit for fuel or tires. I wasn't trying to block. They stacked up. There was contact off of turn 4 ahead of Dale Jr. You could go back and... Oh, I don't know why I didn't repair damage there. Meant to repair some damage. Dale Jr. is going to get out in front of the field, but this is not the way he wanted to do it. Green flag will be back in the air. Problem is he's on older tires anyway, so that's not a caution he wanted to see. Maybe the car will drive better in clean air, but now he's got older tires. We'll see what he can do. But yeah, I wasn't trying to block. It was a stack up in front of Dale Jr., and Jr. couldn't get on the brakes in time. Ran into the car in front of him, and that shot himself as well as another car to the outside of him sideways. Jr. has just led his first green flag lap of the day between both races today. This one at Darlington as well as the Aaron's 312 at Talladega earlier. Sonoma and Talladega should add lights. It would be cool to see a night road course race. Just as something different. I don't know if Sonoma would be the top candidate for me to do that. I feel like the Roval would probably be the best fit for a night road course. Kind of like they did with the Busch Clash at Daytona. Only don't have it in a midweek race, of course. But right now, Dale Jr. is holding on. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do this. But even with Bobby Labonte on fresher tires in second place from behind, it's going to be tough on Labonte as well to try and get around Dale Jr. Mark DeMars, welcome. Jr. kind of diving into the corner off. He starts low, car raises up the track a little bit in the middle of the corner, and then by the exit he cuts it back down to the bottom. A lot easier to do that with nobody in front of you while you're trying to work your way around them. No dirty air. This is where Junior's car could be handling its best. He's still a little loose off the exit of the corner, really working the throttle. He's gapping Bobby Labonte a little bit right now. Loose is fast if you can hang on to it. It was tough to hang on to it in traffic, but Junior's not dealing with traffic anymore. Needs a good performance today. Kind of a tough start, but things have been turned around quickly. 32 laps, he's out in front. He's only gotten in the wall once during, not counting that little half spin he had on the front stretch. But in the corners, he got in the wall once in 1 and 2 a few laps in, and that's been it. Hasn't hit the wall in 3 and 4. Despite the fact it seems like he is struggling with turn 1 probably the most of any corner on the track. It's the wider sweeping corner of the two ends. The Kramer, welcome. Like NASCAR Heat 4 Championship. If you're in the lead, you get away from the cars. This is true. All the bots are back. Even with a new phone and have my account shut off, the bots are still here. Junior in the wall off turn 2. It's going to slow him up quite a bit on the backstretch. Labonte, in fact, almost going to lose a spot potentially to his teammate, J.J. Yaley. as they are side by side. Ely, the predecessor to Labonte, will be in that 18 car next season. Next season meaning NASCAR 07. We'll still have another season of the Cup Series in NASCAR 06 yet. A little hit off the wall, though, for Dale Jr. He's got company in pursuit behind him, and Yaley is going to hopefully for himself be the first one there. And this is where Dale Jr. could get potentially into a little bit of trouble. Tony Stewart tried to get around Labonte for third. It looked like Labonte was able to undercut him and try to cross him over. So hard for Dale Jr. right now, struggling not only trying to keep the car from overcorrecting to the middle of the corner, but especially on the exit, just trying to work the throttle and not get back into the gas too soon and have the car spin out that way also. I have to pause it at some point, try to report that bot myself. The problem is I don't want to pause it anytime soon and knock myself out of rhythm. Rod G, welcome to the stream. Alrighty, 14 likes on the stream tonight, guys. Thank you for that. One car to the inside of Dale Jr. They make contact. And that's going to stack up the pack behind the 81. That 120 car did not waste any time trying to make a pass on Dale Jr. for the lead. The minute he had a run, he went for it, and it costed him. If Jr. didn't hit the wall on the outside with the right rear corner panel, I think he was going around. That wasn't really skill in saving that race car. The car underneath him and the fact that he tagged the wall just barely with the right rear corner panel, it kind of straightened itself back out pretty quickly. And he's got about a 2-second lead. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and in that case, that was good for Dale Jr. on the older tires. He's only got about 15 lap older tires. They may even out over about a 30-plus lap run, but right now, obviously, it's hurting him. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in race 2 of the doubleheader. Dale Jr. really just trying to find a way to manage this gap. It seems like every race in the Busch Series is about survival. Really, every race in this NASCAR 6 video game seems to be about survival. As the case tonight, he pushed hard off turn 2 that time. He's going to carry a lot of speed into turn 3. Better be prepared for it. He was. Car didn't really get that loose that time. Almost kind of set itself in because of how much speed he carried in. Still carries a lot off. Might be burning the tires off quite a bit. He's really just trying to push hard, and he's got to be careful of doing that. He's going to lose control of his own race car, even all by himself in clean air. Okay, yeah, now is definitely the time to pause and hide the bot. Is that the same one from earlier? I should have reported it the first time I saw it. I didn't want to pause it because it was in heavy traffic. Yeah, it was the same one from a couple minutes ago. Cameron Merez, I see you in the chat also. Welcome to the stream. Every time I pause it, though, it really messes with the rhythm. Luckily, Dale Jr. got through turns 3 and 4 pretty well. Drove it in pretty flat, but it still worked out for him in the end. Kept it off the wall. He's got about a 1-second lead. I think the 120 car is still in second. He lost time, but the field had to check up behind to keep everybody from wrecking. That actually worked out somewhat all right for him. Junior in the wall off turn 2. Second time he's gotten into the wall on this run. Third time total he's gotten in the wall on turns 1 and 2 today. Hasn't hit it in turns 3 and 4. Second place was 9/10 of a second quicker than Dale Jr. that last lap. Jr.'s mistake off turn 2 alone, plus the older tires, the other lengths around the racetrack. He's halfway on fuel right now during this run. And again, he'll have to pit about 15 laps before the rest of the field. The idea is hopefully we get a caution at some point before Dale Jr. has to pit. And he's hoping he at least has the lead when that time comes. Not sure if that will be the case or not. So far, so good. We have just over 100 laps to go. Everybody's pitted for fuel or tires one time. Dale Jr. pitted during the first yellow. Everybody else pitted during the second yellow. .120 trying to take the air off the rear spoiler of Dale Jr. Jr. got a little loose off turn 4 because of it. Hangs on to the race car. Sails it off into 1 and 2. That 120 car right behind him. Might not have to touch him to get Dale Jr. a little aero loose. Jr. really trying to back these corners up. He's got a lot of pressure right now, and he's just going to let him go. He's going to play it smart. He's going to let the 120 car go. A lot of space behind him to race. It's going to put him in dirty air, and I wonder if that might tighten the car up a little bit. And maybe it won't be as loose anymore. Definitely not going to be aero loose. No car right on his rear spoiler anymore. He did not want to be side by side on the outside of Darlington into turn 3. Not this early in the race still. Even though we're almost midway through it. It's how patient Dale Jr. wants to be right now in his predicament in points, where he's 15th. He's led enough laps, at least in the early going. He knows he's going to get 5 bonus points, something he didn't get in the last race at Talladega. I do hold the gas trigger when I unpause it too. But it messes like the timing of, you know, when I get off, because you get in so much of a rhythm. Darlington's a tough rhythm track with both corners being just polar opposites from one another. Both somewhat evenly banked, but just the egg-shaped uniqueness of this racetrack is something in and of itself. Junior nearly lost it off turn 2. He was a little lower that time off the exit of the corner than what he had been laps prior. A little lower on entry into 3 and 4 also. Lifts quite a bit in the middle of the corner. The 120 car about messed up. He had to lift off the exit of turn 2 as he almost got in the wall himself. Lap 50. The Darlington Raceway. Running of the DHP 200. Live on KRC. Junior again in the wall. Not that he's pushing hard, he's just struggling to hang on to this race car right now, and I wonder what kind of adjustments are going to be made under this next stop to try and help tighten the car up. At least as fast if he can hang on to it. He's in second place for a reason. But he just doesn't have a car that's capable, it seems like, of keeping up with the leader right now. On the long run. Short run, he seems to be alright. Long run, it just keeps getting looser and looser and looser. Been 100 the last few days for you, temperature-wise? Wow, that was way up near the wall through 3 and 4. Dale Jr. using every crevice of this racetrack, still got really loose. Sounds like somebody who was off the track earlier in the day, maybe on their way back out to try and get some points in case we get any more DNFs the rest of the race. Not sure if that was anybody involved in the first 2 accidents today that may have DNF'd. Right rear of the first to start wearing out quite a bit on the 81 of Dale Jr. No surprise how loose this car has been. You just wonder, when is he going to pull it to pit road? I think you got to stay out as long as you can if you're still in second if you're Dale Jr. I think the minute that pack starts to really close in on you is when you got to consider pitting. I know you don't want a short pit at Darlington. Going a lap down here is pretty much a death sentence, but that would be if a caution comes out. Would hope, obviously, he could cycle well ahead of the 120 car on fresher tires, considering he's only 2 seconds behind him. And tires are going to make a massive difference at this racetrack. Junior on 15-lap older tires right now, and he's hanging in there. Just imagine if he was on equally set tires, even with a looser car, he'd be just a little bit quicker on pace compared to the rest of the field, compared to what we're seeing currently. So easy to lose the back end. Almost overcorrected it, but stayed in the gas quite a bit off turn 4. Didn't want to lift any extra. Not that time, at least. He felt he still had the ability to hang on to the car, and that seemed to be the case. Oh my goodness, this is just ridiculous. All these times it's going to mess me up on my next corner whenever I have to pause it because of something like that. Wish we knew exactly what the interval was between second and third. How much they are gaining. We obviously know how much the leader is pulling away from Dale Jr. on a lap-by-lap basis. And again, Jr. tags the wall. Probably won't be the last time. Every time he's hit the wall, it's been off turn 2. Well, now he hit it in 3 and 4 also. Almost lost it. Has to be thinking of pitting sometime soon. He's about to lose more positions, it looks like. Got in the wall 2 corners in a row. It was the first time he hit the wall through 3 and 4. Bots in general are annoying, but yeah, I agree with you on these ones, especially. Especially for any young viewers out there watching. J.J. Yaley to the outside of Dale Jr. Gonna take a field pass right now. And we'll see what Martin Truex Jr. is up to for the first time today. He's in 8th place. Dale Jr. trying to hang on right now. We'll see if he can do just that. In second, Tony Stewart right behind him in third. Actually, Tony Stewart, it might be the 133 car in third. Actually, no, never mind. It might be Bobby Labonte in third. Yaley went to the outside, didn't work out for him. He kind of got shuffled out of line, and Truex nearly lost it off turn 2. Boyer gets around on the outside. A bit of an overdrive from Truex. Now he gets into Kenny Wallace. Stuffed him into the wall in 3 and 4. I think Truex is even looser than Dale Jr. setup-wise. He's got a little bit better tires than Jr. does at this point in the run. Still in the top 10, though, despite losing a couple positions over the last couple laps. Jr. holding this pack up for right now. And we'll get back to Dale Jr. right now. In second. He's got a quarter tank of gas left. Getting a bit of aero loose this time. Off turn 2. Shane Meal right behind him. Junior really trying to hang on to his race car. Meal is all over the back of the 81. When will Dale Jr. pit? You don't want to pit too early, not only at risk of going a lap down, but also you don't want to pit too early and still have to make an extra stop to the end of the race also. As he just walks right up the racetrack. Edwards gets around him, he's loose, and he has to catch the car down on the inside of the racetrack. Still has cars rushing by to his outside that he's trying to keep it off of, and he's back to 13th. For those couple of mistakes, I think Junior's got to pit this time. His car's just too loose. So Dale Jr. will pit this time by. Got to really nurse it onto pit road to keep from spinning out. Doesn't want to speed either, and he'll get down. Half around a wedge going into the car to try and help tighten it up, and an air pressure adjustment, major air pressure adjustments for Dale Jr. right now. 4 tires and fuel. Will this be the final stop of the day for the 81 team? Trying to short pit as he fell back to 13th. Somehow was able to... Alrighty. Well, Junior's going to have fresher tires now. He won't have to worry about that loose of a race car again. He's going to be far enough, it looks like, behind the leaders that he should be in alright shape there as well. Cold tires coming out of the pits, though, he might have to worry about. So gets up to speed. So again, a half round of wedge out of the, or into the car, as well as an air pressure adjustment, dropping 4 pounds of air pressure. See how much this is going to help the 81. If it helps at all, he's hoping it does. Maybe a little too tight, unfortunately. That was the issue with the start of the race, though. Those first 5 laps, he was really tight on the original setup. Here we go again. As if I haven't had enough with the issues today with the channel. This is only making it worse. Can't catch a break, I swear. Thank you for everybody watching right now and trying to block that, as Stress said in the chat, crap out. And appreciate all the likes so far, 20 of them. Every setup really makes this car drive so much differently than the prior setup, even with the minor adjustments you can make during the course of a race. Now, Junior might not be as fast on the short run with this setup, but the hope is that the long run speed is going to be there. Pitted with about 83 laps to go. It's going to be quite a long ways to try and go. I don't know if that's going to be enough to make it on field to the end. And these guys are going to go a lot longer than just 15 laps beyond Dale Jr., because Jr. pitted right when he had a quarter tank left on fuel. We'll go back up to see what Martin Truex Jr. is doing at the front of the field again. 120 car really getting away. Truex is back up to 8th. Truex going to overcorrect it and brush the wall now. Seen a lot of drivers make mistakes today, though. Probably the easiest track to make a mistake at. Minor or very costly, doesn't seem to matter. Part of why we have seen 2 cautions to begin with in this race at this point. That's enough of that. We'll go back to Dale Jr. the rest of this race. Not sure how many seconds off the lead Dale Jr. was when he pitted. Considering he was in 13th, I would probably imagine he was right around 10 seconds or so off the lead. Pitting as early as he is, he's got a shot of cycling back out in front. Again, the main issue, though, for Dale Jr.'s sake is going to be how the pit strategy for himself is going to work the rest of this race. Will the field have to pit one more time or two? Because if Dale Jr. is the only one that has to make this race on 2 stops, getting that track position earlier in the race not going to look as great as a result if this stays green to the finish. But he's a lap down, so he can't catch a caution now. Just kind of has to deal with the consequences. He's going to have to motivate around these cars at the back of the pack pretty quickly also. Here we go again. I don't think it matters, like, what people say in the chat. I feel like it comes up naturally. Dale Jr. playing a risky game right now, going 3 wide under the lap cars through 3 and 4. He's got to get around both of them cleanly, though. He was able to hold that corner all the way through. Somewhat fresher tires. Yeah, just try to ignore him the best you can. There's nothing I could do about it, other than hide all of them and report them. A lot more lap cars for Dale Jr. to try and get around right now. A whole slew of them. And have about 69 laps to go in this race. Jr. making moves. Got Erickson right in front of him. It's a rival. Junior's must have got into him at some point. I think that was the car that was on the outside of him during that second caution he made contact with. Try to get around him cleanly. They touched a little bit. I don't know how much that's going to affect the 113 on the outside. He is crowding Dale Jr. right now, and I don't think Jr.'s trying to hit him, but he's not getting enough space either. This is costing Jr. on fresher tires. Again, dives underneath the 113 on the front straightaway. He's going to try to make the move into turn 1. 113 car on the outside of him. Junior's going to slide job his way past him. Got some cars on pit road. Going to be the moment of truth fairly soon on whether or not Dale Jr. is going to cycle to the lead. I wonder if this is the stops for the drivers that know they can make it on fuel to the end of the race, or what the case is with that. Jr. to the bottom, 3 wide through 3 and 4. Got it to stick. No, he didn't. He's in the wall on the outside. One car goes way down low to miss it. I thought he was going to complete the pass off of turn 4. He obviously did not. The risk of trying to go 3 wide at Darlington right there, ladies and gentlemen. No caution. We stay green. That was a pretty big hit. And an awkward angle for Dale Jr. Probably bashed that right front fender in quite a bit. Hopefully that's not going to mess with the handling of the car anymore. Truex on his way in. The 120 still hasn't pit. I feel like the setup made the car worse. It's grippier in the middle of the corner, but it's not driving off better on entry. Oh, Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. Shane Meal leading his first laps of the day during green flag pit stops. Get himself 5 bonus points. Towards the top of the point standings right now in the Busch Series season. Final time will alternate through the different camera angles in this race today. Again, are the cars pitting now going to be able to make it on fuel to the end? That is the big question. Because we are not sure as of right now if they will be able to or not. Do I have to pit again? I'm thinking I do. But I could definitely go quite a ways from right now. 83 laps on these tires to the end. That's asking of a lot. By far, it'll be the most laps on a tire stint today. I was unable to retrieve a trivia question. I wanted to get one for the Sonoma race earlier today, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do so because I was trying to figure out the situation with my phone and get a new phone, and I didn't look up any trivia. I got home and I was just watching the Sonoma race. So unfortunately, I'm not going to have any trivia today on the channel. Menards is the sponsor on this car. With a deep dive. Oh, we got a car blowing up right in front of the 81. Luckily, he's able to get down and out of the way quickly. Right in the middle of green flag pit stop, somebody has blown an engine and is going to try to make it onto pit road. And looks like they will make their way in. Clint Boyer in the pits right now. Who will cycle back to the lead? I'd imagine it's going to be the 120 car because he had a pretty big lead before the stop started. Junior back on the lead lap and is running in 17th. He's lost quite a bit of ground. I cannot express enough how much of a struggle this Busch Series season has been so far for Dale Earnhardt Jr. I do think the long run handling, though, is where this car is going to be better with this setup change. Short run, it's definitely lacking, where before he was good on the short run, the long run he was lacking, so it's kind of polar opposites now. He's making passes on cars who have already made their stop recently. Yeah, the big question for Junior is, though, can he make it on field to the finish? Drives underneath the 21, just a little too deep, up the track and into the wall with Bobby Labonte. A caution is out again for Dale Jr. Sometimes you can catch the apron, the car sticks, and sometimes it doesn't. It's a risky game you play with at this racetrack, and That time it obviously didn't, and with Junior having Bobby Labonte on his outside, he had no chance to catch the car when it started to walk with the right rear up the racetrack. Now he has to pit. He can't pit for fuel or tires, though. I don't like doing it, but I will pit for fuel or tires. Everybody just pitted. Junior's not really... Oh, no, don't put that much wedge in it. I'm just going to leave the setup the same as what it was. I won't make any adjustment changes, to be fair to myself that way. One more set of tires left the end of the race to now. Nobody's pitting. I'm thinking everybody's going to be good on fuel to the end. So Junior's already got damage that's going to slow him down quite a bit as it is. It's our third caution of the race tonight at the Darlington Raceway. Being we're under caution, I'll actually retrieve you guys a trivia question. I'll find a Darlington track fact for you guys. The 120 car will be in the lead on the restart. Carl Edwards will be in second. Past halfway through this race, so let me get the Darlington track fact for you guys. Alright, easy enough. I have retrieved your guys' trivia question for the night. As far as a Darlington track fact goes, it is Cup Series related, though. So tonight's trivia question is, of all of the races... Well, okay, let me start the trivia question. This season in NASCAR, the most amount of cautions in a single race was 18 with the Coke 600. The record for the Southern 500 is 18 cautions in a single Southern 500. What year did the most cautions in the Southern 500 take place? So that is tonight's trivia question. What year did the most cautions in a Southern 500 at Darlington take place? Green flag going to be back in the air at lap 97. We're going to have 51 laps to go. Answer to tonight's trivia question will be at lap 105. No hints for tonight's trivia question. What year did the Southern 500 have the most yellows? And no, bots cannot answer the questions correctly because that is obviously not the answer to the question. Good Lord. Even earlier today, they were coming in pretty rapidly, too. We went over a week in a row without getting one, and now all of a sudden today, in both streams we've been getting a lot. There are some lap cars at the front of the field right now that restarted on the inside of the lead lap cars. 2010, not the answer. 2001, not the answer either. Not 2013. Not 2004, not 2003. Not 04, not 05. Derek Booth is just guessing the whole line of... It's not any of those years, Derek. 2009, you remember watching it? That is not right. Maybe at the time it might have been. I don't know if that's true or false, but I know it's not the answer to tonight's trivia question. Even 51 laps is a long time to go on these tires. I don't think Junior's gone that far on a single fuel and tire stint in this race. Fairly equal tires with the field, who just made their green flag pit stops. Junior able to pit under the yellow, maybe a couple laps fresher. It's going to make a difference these first few laps after the restart. But as he works his way towards the front of the field, he's going to wear out his tires quite a bit. Plus, obviously, the laps are going to start to equalize in total grip, or lack thereof. Got to be careful not to overstep the car. Obviously, again, it has been easy to do that today. Jamie McMurray still towards the back of this pack right now. The 120 car has absolutely dominated this race today. May have the fastest car in the field. Not sure exactly which generated rookie driver it is. I don't believe anybody has answered the question correctly yet in the chat. Again, what year was the most cautions in the Southern 500? It's a nice trivia question. Frank Lance's 2022. Well, we haven't had the 2022 Southern 500 yet. That race at Darlington was a Goodyear 400 earlier this season. And that also wasn't the most cautions anyway. Might have been for a 400-mile Darlington race, but not a 500-mile in the Southern 500. Bobby Labonte's lost a lot of track position after being involved in that last accident. Oh, bit of a stack up off turn 4. Junior made an aggressive 3-wide move on the front stretch. He clears McMurray before getting into turn 1, though, so it worked out for him. Flirting with disaster down way low on the apron, but he actually got it to stick that time. Oh, makes a little contact off the outside of the corner with the 82. So Billy Carjoy actually did get the question correct tonight with his guess of 2015. He's guessing a bunch of years, but he actually got it with his first guess before he started going down the list. 2015 Southern 500, most cautions in a single Southern 500 NASCAR history. 18. Carl Edwards won that race. Billy Carjoy got it. I think I'm going to start to put a limit on you guys for guessing in the chat, so you're just not guessing like every year like that. That's the second time this week that we've seen an answer correct in the chat because they're... I mean, I get guessing, you know, kind of all over the place, but when I'm asking for a specific race year and you're kind of just going down the list of all of them, obviously you're going to get it right eventually. Definitely a loose moment off turn 2. Again, Junior a little too low in the middle of the corner is why he slid, lost a couple positions. Still back in 18th, and there's quite a few lap cars between himself and the leader as well. Obviously the field pretty packed together right now. We've seen incidences when this has been the case today. Both AI related and Dale Jr. related. Junior's been involved in 2 cautions. 2 too many, that's why he's back in 18th. He had track position earlier in the race, just couldn't hang on to it. It's just a straight up race from now to the end, no more strategy involved. Final stops are already through with. Nearly contact off turn 4. Junior's going to go to the inside. 3 wide. Down on the bottom. Into turn 1. Nobody going to give an inch. Will they hold it off the exit of the corner? They did for now. They weren't quite 3 wide off the exit anymore. Which kind of helped. Junior got a little tight. He overdrove the corner a bit. Squeezed towards the outside. Still got around the 117 car cleanly, though. He gave him just enough room to keep it off the wall, and they kept from wrecking each other. That was actually a lap car in the 117 also. It wasn't even a pass for position for Dale Jr. that time. Tyler Burback, welcome to the stream. 8 car was a lap down also. Junior just squeezes to the inside of the 119, who may be also a lap down. We'll see. Still, Junior gets around him. If he gets around him. He will get around him, barely. He's going to lose grip more and more throughout the run. Especially as he's working a lot into his tires off the restart, trying to gain as many positions as possible. Bump to knock a car up out of the way. Another lapper. Gotta be careful leaving of that. Spinning yourself out on this lack of grip style racetrack. All these cars, the last 5 juniors passed, have all been a lap down. Ace of Spades, welcome to the stream. 5597, welcome. I've been thinking about doing streams on Twitch and YouTube recently, and a lot of it's been because of the bots. I wouldn't go full-time that way, but I'm thinking about doing just streaming on both at the same time. If I figure out a way to do that, there's a good chance of that, and it's mainly just because of the bots. Junior still only passing lap cars. 6 consecutive cars he's passed that are all lapped down. Now the car on his outside in the 106, that is a lead lap car. And he is crowding the heck out of Dale Jr. right now, but Jr. is going to make the pass on him regardless. Half his car down below the hashed white line and half of it above it. It's enough grip to complete the pass up for 17th. Dale Jr. continues to try and work his way forward through this field. Junior looking low, off turn 4, underneath Brandon Miller in the 21. Probably the most challenging racetrack that I've attempted on this game so far. 500 miles of it's going to be tough. I'm definitely going to practice before tomorrow's race. And Junior looking low on the inside of Miller. I think Junior could at least get a top 10 out of it today and at least survive the carnage to that extent. Trying to just stay inside the 21. Not going to be able to complete the pass off turn 2 yet. Going to be side by side briefly into 3. Junior going to drive it in pretty deep, and he's clear. A bumper from Michael Jourdain Jr. to the back of the 19 of Bobby Labonte stacks him up through 3 and 4. And allows Junior to pull the back bumper of the 10 car now. Dale Jr. finds a way underneath Jourdain. Bobby Labonte, a rival of Dale Jr. Jr.'s going to have to be careful getting around him. Jr. up to 15th, clearing Michael Jourdain Jr. into turns 3 and 4 rather. Look at Bobby blocking Dale Jr. all the way down on the inside. Jr.'s going to have to be very careful trying to pass the 19 car. And you know Labonte's not going to give Dale Jr. a lot of room. May try to swing at him. He tried to take him out off turn 2. He did take him out. Caution. Heavy damage to the 81. And a few other cars also collected behind all of them. Bobby Labonte has just wiped out Dale Jr. going into 3. With less than 30 to go. On Junior's comeback trail, which led him up to 14th prior to the spin. Our 5th caution of the race today, and there is some pretty heavy damage to the right front of Dale Jr.'s race car. And he is going to have to pit, unfortunately, and repair that damage. Tried to take him out once, it didn't quite work. The second time he tried to take him out, it was succeeded. NASCAR LOL, welcome to the stream. Yeah, do it for Dale Series indeed. Cameron Duty, welcome. Still enjoying the streams, thank you, Cameron. Again, for those of you who wonder why there's no live commentary of the Sonoma race today, it's in a community post that I uploaded on the channel a few hours ago, so check that out, explaining the whole situation. Also, check out the stream I did earlier with the state of emergency of the channel. That was more or less to try and get your guys' attention of what was going on. Try to explain to you all it was. That explains more of what happened today with why I couldn't stream, and really over the last 24 hours why I couldn't stream. Green flag back in the air, though. Wonder if we're going to see any debris cautions from anybody involved in that accident. Junior back to 33rd, and again, the bad luck on these Busch Series races. Had a shot at a top 10. Was moving forward at a pace where it looked like he was going to have a good shot at a top 10, maybe a top 5. I don't think he was going to be there for the win. Now with just over 20 laps to go, he can't waste any time. Full season points format for the Busch Series. 15th in points, 303 out of first into this one. Probably going to lose more points now. Another restart, the 120 car at the front of the field trying to survive late. Contact, Junior desperately trying to get underneath the 152. And he definitely moved him up out of the way and into the wall. A little too aggressive for Dale Jr. there. And now he overdrives 3 and 4 into the wall. How much damage has been put on this race car to not only affect the handling even more, but to slow it down overall? You have to imagine it's quite a bit. Definitely feels like it's tighter in traffic in the middle of the corner. A little bit of a stack up in the middle of 3 and 4. Junior almost found himself 3 wide middle with the field stacking up in front of him. He never let up. That allowed him to get underneath the 83 quickly. I'll have to get underneath another car, and does. Through 1 and 2. Oh, contact up high! One car nearly got turned. Junior stayed low to avoid it, passed a couple more, and he's up to 26th. Make that 25th. $20 to go. Position's vital at this juncture of the race. Bobby Labonte only a few positions ahead of Dale Jr. as Labonte's lost more spots after this most recent restart. I would assume he's got quite a bit of damage from the last accident. Hopefully that's the last time I have to pause it for things going on down in the chat. 19 to go. The 19 car of Bobby Labonte not that much further up ahead. And Junior did not pit for fuel or tires during that last caution. Couldn't because he was involved in the accident. He is just rallying and just trying to trudge this race car as close to the front as possible. 3 wide with Labonte and McMurray. Labonte knocks into the 81. Junior hangs on to it. Labonte hits him again. Labonte gets the worst end of it that time, and Junior drives off into 1. Bonnie almost got punted from behind after that, too. Junior held on to the race car. Where's the speed coming from out of this 81? You would have thought it was all wrecked out from the Labonte accident a little while ago. Getting a little tight up the track. Contact up ahead. Maybe going to stack those cars up a bit more. Dale Jr.'s back to 17th. Quite a bit of side-by-side action in front of him. He still may have a shot at a top 10 all of a sudden. Junior aggressive off turn 2. Lost the nose. And in doing so, he accidentally ran the 117 car into the wall. He got himself into the wall and will ride up with Martin Truex Jr. one more time, who is in 8th. Truex looks to the inside. Got squeezed a bit going into turn 3. By a lap car nonetheless. Hangs it in there on the inside. Gets underneath Eric Crocker. Couldn't keep the momentum up off the exit of turn 4. Drives it deep down to the bottom again through 1 and 2. 3 wide on the inside. Got a bit loose. He did clear Crocker, luckily, for 7th, as well as another lap car. We'll go back to Dale Jr. the rest of this race. Truex less than 2 seconds off the lead now, closing on Kenny Wallace for 6th. Truex with a little, or Jr., Dale Jr. that is, with a little bit of contact. Junior up into the wall again. Have we seen our last yellow with 11 laps to go? It is a mad dash through this field. Fighting for every last position these drivers could try to get to. Junior was moving up quickly for a bit, but now he's kind of hit a wall. He's been stalled in 17th for more than 5 laps. And he's getting a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter, and he's in the wall again. Off of turn 4. And I think the damage is catching up with the 81. Every time, not to mention that the 81 makes contact with the right side of the car, it's only going to make the tightness even worse. Feels like the car's handling really well through 1 and 2 for the most part. It's 3 and 4, especially in the middle to the exit of turns 3 and 4, where the car gets super tight at that end of the racetrack. Especially as he gets closer to traffic. Not sure exactly how many lap cars are directly in front of Dale Jr. as well. Imagine that there's quite a few. Caution! With 8 to go, and this is going to stack the field up. And we're going to have a few laps to go in the restart. The 106 car has lost control and has spun. I think for the a couple cars kind of piling in at the last second there in turns 3 and 4, so it ended up being a multi-car wreck. Actually spun down into the, I think, 82 underneath him. And Bobby Labonte was the first car to pile in. So maybe a little karma to the 19 of Labonte. Yeah, right when you guys are talking about a caution down in the chat, there you go. You can win driving to the front. I don't know about that. Single file restart. All the lap cars will be behind the lead lap cars, with this restart coming with 10 or less laps to go. So here we go. Green flag going to be back in the air, and we are going to have 4 laps remaining at Darlington, a shootout. to decide the winner of the race. Edwards still in second with the 120 car out in the lead. Pretty good launch from Dale Jr. that time. Quickly to the inside of the 21 of Miller. They get to the white flag. No cautions will come out on the final lap. But if yellow comes out now, the race will end under caution at this point. Junior hanging it out as he completes the pass for 16th off turn 4. Again, his best corner is 1 and 2. With the damage on his car. Before, that was a struggling corner, but with the damage, it's actually made him a bit better in that corner, but 3 and 4 is where he's really lacking. Gonna get to the inside of Michael Jourdain Jr. 2 to go at the line. Jourdain squeezes Earnhardt. Earnhardt completes the pass. Junior almost up into the wall. Had to lift quite a bit off turn 4. 120 car leads. White flag in the air. Next flag will end the race. And the next flag will be the checker no matter what. A lot of blocking going on in the back straightaway right now. Junior really aggressive going into 3 and 4. Down towards the bottom. Has a shot to pick up maybe 2 positions in the final corner. And he will. Up to 13th at the checkered flag. I think he'll take that, all things considered. But the 120 car, John Hamilton, will win the DHP 200 tonight at Darlington. We'll go through the finishing results as well as the updated point standings following this 11th race of the year. John Hamilton with the win. Shane Meal finishes in second. He led laps at certain points today. Clint Boyer led a few laps, finishes in third. Carl Edwards fourth. Tony Stewart rounds out the top 5. 5 cautions per 15 caution laps, 5 lead changes. 10th of a second margin of victory with that restart with 4 laps to go after the 106 car had spun. 128.44 miles an hour, average race speed, an hour 33 minutes total time to get this 200-mile race in. Hamilton dominated the day, by far the fastest car, led 96 of the 147 laps en route to the victory. Max point stay for him after starting 14th. Edwards did not lead a lap. He restarted second, fell back to 4th those final 4 laps. Tony Stewart led 24, all towards the beginning of the race after qualifying on the pole. Martin Truex Jr., Chance 2 Motorsports, highest of the 2 running drivers there, finishing at 6th with no laps led. Aaron Crocker, great bounce-back performance after rough day at Talladega earlier. Ends up finishing in 7th. Kenny Wallace 8th. Lance Trigger 9th, and Jeremy Mayfield rounds out the top 10. Dale Jr. led 21 laps today, finishing 13th. Not terrible by any means, but again, not good when you're trying to make up points. 15th in the standings this late in the year. 13th really won't do that, but considering no practice of qualifying, 13th, Labonte took him out late. He still came back to finish up 20 spots ahead of where he restarted in the second to last restart with about 23 to go. So he just scratched and clawed and picked up 2 extra spots in that final corner as well. Sure, even when the race is over. I hid them, by the way, and that second comment still showed up. See who all DNF'd in this race today. We had quite a few at Talladega earlier, if I remember right, 8 of them. 3 of them today. Jordan Clayton and then Kyle Busch blew an engine at lap 22. So those were the 3 drivers who had DNF'd. I'm trying to think if there was a caution at lap 90 that 2 of them ended up DNFing in. To DNF that same lap. No, that was after the final stops, I think, because I remember somebody blew up right in front of Dale Jr. It was probably one of them, and I guess someone else on the racetrack at the same time might have blown an engine then, too, for that to be the case. The Funai 250 at Richmond will be the next Busch Series race. Good news is Dale Jr. is good on the short tracks in the Busch Series this season, so hopefully that'll be a bounce-back performance for him, and he can go back to finishing in the top 10, because it's been a little bit of time since he's done that in the Busch Series. check the standings real quick, and then we'll get out of here for the night. So John Hamilton is the points leader, extending that lead now 42 points ahead of Boyer, who did finish third today. The max points day for Hamilton is going to work out big time. So have two of the drivers right now that are generated drivers in the top three. And one of them obviously leading the points. I don't know how much he'll be able to hold up the points lead, knowing that the equipment disadvantages for those two drivers is pretty severe. But it's working out so far for him. Shane Meal ends up falling back to fourth in points, despite the fact, well, he actually gains up to fourth in points considering he finished second and led some laps today. Aaron Crocker, J.J. Yaley tied there. Truex in seventh, 156 out of first. And Dale Jr. losing points today with the 13th place finish. The points leader had a max points day. Jr. finishing outside the top 10, even though he led laps. He's going to lose quite a bit more points. He is going to fall back now. Still 15th in the standings, so didn't lose any spots in the standings, but he definitely lost points. He's 369 back. Worst driver that could have not only won the race, but had a max points day. Junior kept up with him early, but didn't have a great green flag stop middle of the race. Ended up falling back to about 17th, and then Labonte took him out, running about 15th. And he was able to claw his way back up to 13th there at the finish. But considering the speed in the race car, even without the setup changes, if I would have had laps of practice in, I think I would have had more car control early, and maybe I could have held on to the track position better than I did, leading into the green flag stops middle of the race. But we'll work on that tomorrow night. We have a longer race at this racetrack, so good luck to me. Southern 500 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So thank you, everybody. I will see you then. And again, we'll be back with live commentary 100%, I promise, next week. I don't plan on losing my phone ever again, hopefully. And or losing slash still. Again, I think somebody took it. But regardless of the fact, don't plan on that happening anytime soon. That's for that matter. Knoxville, live commentary next week for the Truck Series, means the Cup Series is off. Next live race, Cup Series live stream for live commentary will be at Nashville, the first race on NBC that following weekend. So thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night, 6, Southern 500, NASCAR 06, presented by Dodge, live on KRC.